The Oklahoma Sooners have a talented group of players on both sides of the ball. Who's going to stand out in draft circles for 2026 and beyond? Coming up here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year over at monarchmoney.com. I'm John Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can follow my partner Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel Unfair Sports as well. This is a bonus edition of Locked On Sooners. Wanted to dig into something that Jim Nagy talked about when he met with the media at different points on Wednesday when Oklahoma was at SEC Media Days. And this comes from Colton Sully here of the Oklahoma. And he said, there's an NFL player in every position group across the field. The talent level is right there. Everything's been talked about last year with the record. I think we know a lot of the reasons behind the record. I like the team. We've gone over ad nauseum what went down in 2024, but let's talk about this roster for 2025 because Jim Nagy, Oklahoma's general manager, is very high on what Oklahoma has to deploy this season for the Sooners. I know there's been a lot of discussion about it, the recruiting. There's been a lot of discussion about what's it going to look like when he gets a full cycle to recruit players. We'll find out. But as he evaluates the Sooners roster for 2025, he sees talent across the board and he sees NFL talent across the board. And so let's talk about what that looks like on both sides of the ball, because obviously at quarterback, John Mateer is already getting a lot of buzz. But does the NFL potential go beyond John Mateer? I think it does. I think with a guy like Michael Hawkins, there is NFL potential there because the speed he brings in the run game, he has the arm to get the ball down the field. He can be an accurate passer. I'd like to see what happens when he's got a healthy offensive line, when he's got wide receivers that are capable of creating separation and making some plays in the passing game. I'd like to see what he looks like after sitting for a year behind a guy like John Mateer, learning from a guy like Ben Arbuckle, having the chance to kind of redevelop because he was thrown into the fire last year when nothing was right for Oklahoma on offense. And if anything, he showed unflappable. He showed that he's a player that has the mental fortitude to play quarterback at a very high level. I can't wait to see what he looks like the next time he's on the field for the Sooners, because I think we're going to see a completely different player. One, because he's going to have a little bit of help around him, but two, he's going to have taken what went right and what went wrong last year, and he's going to learn from that. He's going to continue to grow. So I'm excited about that. At running back, Jayden obviously is a name that has NFL potential, but I think you can look at Xavier Robinson, Taylor Tatum. I think Javonte Barnes has NFL potential, even as a rotational kind of backup running back type, because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run between the tackles. He can run outside. He's got good vision, and he's a guy that's good in pass protection. Like, he does all the things well that you need like a second or third running back on your roster to be able to do, and he does them well. Taylor Tatum, the talent is there. Again, hold on to the football. You've got potential at the next level. At wide receiver, now this is going to be one that, listen, is going to be a little bit questionable because we need to see it on the field, but Deion Burks, he was getting a lot of buzz last year, even though he didn't really play a lot. He was injured most of the year. And, there was thought that he might jump to the NFL for the 2025 draft, but came back for one more year, has a chance to really improve his draft profile if he has a healthy season and he's productive, which if he's healthy, I'm pretty sure he's going to be productive. So now it's just a matter of going out and performing. I think elsewhere at wide receiver, there's a lot of NFL potential. A guy like Elijah Thomas is one of those dudes that's got all the tools. He's got that freakish athleticism. And John Mateer talked about how he just knows the game really, really well. He has a clear vision for what the game of football is supposed to look like, and that's exciting. I think with size and athleticism, you're talking about like guys like Jayden Gibson. Zion Kearney is a dude that I think with development and with opportunity, he has some of the traits that you're looking for at wide receiver. But beyond really just Deion Burks, the rest of it's projection and potential. I think Deion Burks gets drafted, whether he goes into the NFL draft for the 2025 cycle or 2026. I think he has a better chance of getting drafted next year, or not necessarily drafted, but drafted higher, maybe top 2 rounds. Giovanni Gibson is one of those guys. He impressed everybody at spring ball. So I'm excited to see what he looks like when he's back healthy. Hopefully he's 100% when we get to see him. Hopefully he's 100% by the Michigan game, because you might need it against that defense. Along the offensive line, this is also a place where it's going to be a little bit questionable. Maybe Febechi Wiwu right now is your biggest draft prospect for 2026, for the 2026 draft. But I think with a good year, a guy like Jacob Sexton could get drafted. I think you're looking down the line. Obviously, you see Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje as draftable players right now, even because they've already impressed in spring ball. You could see a guy like Troy Everett potentially getting drafted simply because he's got a lot of experience at center. He's played well when he's gotten opportunities. The health is just kind of the biggest question for him. Right tackle, Derek Simmons, he's going to get drafted. He's a guy that's played well against SEC competition, against ACC competition, and he's very experienced. He might not get drafted very high unless Oklahoma goes and has a great year and he's very good against guys like Dylan Stewart, or he's really good against Colin Simmons and he puts a really good tape together against some elite edge rushers, then maybe he does get drafted high. But based on what we've got right now, to me, he's probably like a 4th or 5th round NFL tackle prospect. But again, somebody with a lot of experience that could grow into a swing tackle role at minimum, I think, for an NFL franchise. And then on the defensive side, like the defensive side is where you're going to see a lot of Oklahoma's talent be highly thought of when it comes to draft circles. And we'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever wished managing your money felt easier with Monarch Money? It can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Locked On College for half off your first year over at monarchmoney.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there, and thanks for enjoying this bonus episode here of Locked On Sooners. Again, we're talking about what Jim Nagy had to say about the Oklahoma Sooners roster and how there's NFL talent across the board on both sides of the ball. And some of it is probably projecting out several years with guys like Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje, but some of it's more immediate because we talked about it on the offensive side of the ball with guys like John Mateer and Jayden Knott. You're looking at a Deion Burks that are draftable in 2026, maybe a Derek Simmons as well. But on the defensive side, maybe more immediate draftable prospects. You're looking at along the defensive front. I mean, Daminic Williams is going to be a draftable player. You know, he didn't have the numbers that maybe you wanted to see after he transferred from TCU to Oklahoma, but he was still an effective defensive tackle. And he still made life really difficult on interior offensive lines. You're not always going to put up big numbers as a nose tackle. That's just the nature of the beast. But somebody that has his size, that moves the way he moves, and has had collegiate production, that's somebody that's going to get drafted. Now, whether he's drafted, in the 4th or 5th round or 6th or 7th, that remains to be seen. If he goes and has a big year for Oklahoma this year, he could very much put himself in the top 100 picks territory. R. Mason Thomas, that dude's a top 60 pick in my mind. If they let him drop out of the 2nd round, you're overrating length, in my opinion. He spent a lot of time at SEC Media Days talking about Nick Bonito as one of his favorite players and guys that he likes to watch, because they have similar stature, similar sizes to him. And whether you're looking for a 6'4", 260-pound edge rusher that's got these really, really long arms or not, draft R. Mason Thomas and you will get yourself a productive edge rusher. The guy is just a pass rusher. and he's added size to be able to hold up a little bit better against the run, but he was a good run defender last year. So our Mason Thomas, I mean, with another big year, I mean, he could push into the top or the back end of the first round. I don't think it's likely, but at the very least, he should be a top 2 round selection. Elsewhere, Marvin Jones Jr., another guy that has a chance to really improve his draft stock. And right now he's a draftable asset simply due to his size, his length, his athleticism. Our Mason Thomas talked about how he was putting in a lot of work this offseason and really trying to hone in on his craft and refine his craft so that he can have a big year. And if he goes and has a 7 or 8 sack season, he's one of those guys that could bump himself into the top 60 or maybe even to the first round, because he's got the dimensions that NFL GMs and scouts are looking for at defensive end. He just hasn't quite had the production yet to warrant being put into the top 32 picks. Although a guy like Shamar Stewart was drafted at the top end of the second round, even though he didn't really have a lot of production at Texas A&M. Then you're looking at, down the line, Jayden Jackson, David Stone, I think are guys that have draftable talent. Trent Wilson, another one of those guys. Maybe you look at, we'll have to see with PJ Adebawore. Danny Okoye just has the athletic traits that right now, I think GMs and scouts are going to be really intrigued by what he does, because again, he's got insane athleticism, and front office people are going to think that they can take that athleticism and continue to develop it and refine it and make them big time players. We'll see. Linebacker Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie. Kip Lewis more so because we've seen him play for 2 years. He's got experience. He's been productive. He's shown NFL traits with his speed, his athleticism, his ability to make big plays, his coverage ability. There's something really, really intriguing there about Kip Lewis. At cornerback, and I think you could say, like, down the line, maybe a Samuel Masigo has some draftable talent as well, and somebody that can develop into one of those kind of players. Some people are thinking he might have a significant role this year. I think he'll probably be your third linebacker in the linebacker rotation, battling with guys like, Kip Lewis for more snaps or with Kobe McKenzie for more snaps, but he seems like a weak side linebacker type that can play a little bit of cheetah as well. And then at corner, this is probably where the biggest question is that I have at defensive back, because we just haven't seen these guys play enough. Gentry Williams looks like an NFL caliber cornerback when he's on the field. Just got to see my guy on the field. And if my guy's healthy and he's on the field, he's as good as Oklahoma's had in a long time at cornerback. And then at safety, obviously, Robert Spears Jennings, that dude's going to get drafted. To me, it's just a matter of how high. If he does what he did last year, a lot of people are going to put him in a top 3 rounds of the draft. They're going to look at him as a guy that can come in and start from day one and be either a box safety type, play a little bit of 2 high or single high. And he's shown that he's got a penchant for making plays. So I'm excited about what Robert Spears Jennings is going to do this year to help maybe improve his draft stock. To me, top 50 pick, like, the potential is there. And if safety were a little bit more highly regarded in NFL circles, I mean, he's got a lot of the traits that you'd like: speed, physicality. You might even take him in the first round, but it's more likely that you're going to see a ceiling for him, probably, the top end of the second round. And then, Peyton Bowen, with him again, it's just, we got to see you on the field, my man. Like, the talent is there. The athleticism is there. The instincts are there to be really, really good at the safety position. It's just, you got to be on the field and you got to perform. But yeah, what do you think? Who do you think Jim Nagy might be talking about that I didn't discuss? There's a lot of really talented players with a lot of potential on this team. They just haven't shown it yet on the field. But you could even go back to a guy like PJ Adebawore. A lot of potential, a lot of promise, a lot of draftable traits, but we just haven't seen him play. Hopefully this is the year that changes and we start hearing buzz about PJ Adebawore as a draftable player. But Oklahoma's got a lot of talented dudes. They just need to perform again in 2025. And then a lot of those guys that are flying under the radar, either in draft circles or in Oklahoma circles or SEC circles, well, those guys, they've got to perform too. So it's a talented roster full of really good players, and I can't wait to see what they do in 2025. And that's going to do it for today's bonus edition of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. You can check out his channel, Unfair Sports, on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. But until next time, I'm John for my buddy Jay. Boomer Sooner.